Hello and welcome to the revision video for solving problems for the numeracy paper. And this is the higher level and the non-calculator paper, therefore Unit 1. The focus of this revision video will be to solve problems for OCW marks where order, communication and writing skills are assessed. In order to be successful in these questions, there are 5 steps that I advise you take for each of these questions to ensure that you get the full OCW marks. Use a highlighter, simple but very effective when the question is quite large and it's worth 6 marks with 2 or 3 marks OCW marks. Write down any formulas, materials or facts that are relevant to the question. Write each piece of clear accounting using mathematics. Label each piece of accounting work clearly. Now that doesn't mean you need to write long sentences or paragraphs or tell a story or anything like that. Just that you label everything clearly with the correct pound signs or pence signs, for example. Whether you're dividing or adding, just put those signs in. Obviously write down your totals just so it's clear, and use correct units in your answer. So when you do any sort of workings out, any sums, take away sums for example, that all the units sort of line up correctly and clearly. So this is the first example question that I'll go through. This was taken from the summer paper of 2023. So the question is, first of all, I'll just draw your attention to this part here. If there's OCW marks present, which you can see, perhaps I'm in the way actually, but it says a 6 plus 2. And the sentence to start with is, in this question you will be assessed on your quality of organisation, communication, accuracy, writing. You then know there'll be extra OCW marks up for grabs. So the question, Mary and Hugh share a prize of £2,700 in the ratio of 4 to 5. Therefore, it goes in order. Mary gets 4 and Hugh gets 5. Mary decides to donate 24% in her share of the prize to charity. Hugh decides to give the same amount of money as Mary to charity as well. What fraction of Hugh's share of the prize money does he give to charity? Now we already know that the 2,700 here of prize money has not been shared equally between Mary and Hugh. So our first thing to figure out is what percentage of the 2,700 did Mary get and what percentage of that 2,700 did Hugh get. We can then, our second step will be to work out what 24% is of that final amount of money. So just to highlight, these are the numbers we need to remember. Change my pen. So the first step, I've highlighted all the important bits. Step 1 is to figure out the percentage, or not the percentage, the parts, sorry, of the 2,700 did Mary get and Hugh got. Step 1. And I do it very clearly like that. It shows that I'm actually doing it in a logical and organized way. So we'll add the 4 and the 5 equals 9 parts. We need to figure out what 1 part is of that 2,700. So we write here 2,700 divided by 9. equals £300. So Mary got 4 parts. So it's 4 times £300 equals £1,200. Now you can probably work this out without even writing out that 5 parts must be what's left of the 2,700. So you'd be correct to think that. However, because these are for OCW marks as well, you have to write it down. So you have to write that Hugh got 5 parts, and it's 5 times 300 equals, oops, that looks dodgy. That's a 5, by the way. £1,500. And then you simply add them together, and you can see, or add, that it adds up to 2,700, and you can check that you've got the correct total there. So that's your step 1. Step 2 now will be to work out the 24% and how much each person has given to charity. Step 2 is the 24%. So first of all, we'll work out Mary's total of the 24%. So it's 24% of, the £1,200 that Mary got. So to work out 24, what I would first work out, and you've done this many times, should be very easy, to work out the 10%. So the 10% of 1,200, you just simply drop the 0, so you can work that out easily, that it's £120. So then you know that 20% is just double that, £240. We now need to work out what the 1% is, because it's 24. This is the way I would do it, the easiest way to do it. So 1% equals 12. So then you need to do 12 times 4, because it's the 4% we're working out here. So 12 times 4 equals £48. Okay, so we now just need to finish off how much Mary gave. So I'll put it up here, 24%. So we need to add the 20% here, which is 240 plus the 4% here we've worked out, which is £48. That gives you a total of £288. So that sum there is how much 24% is, and that's how much of Mary's £1,200 she gave to Ellison. By Mary. You do just need to write that little sentence down. So lastly now we're going to work out how much Hugh gave. So if I write Hugh here, so Hugh's total, what we know, is 288, it's 24%, over 1500. Sorry, that looks like a 1. That shouldn't be there. So this is the fraction of what Hugh gives Ellison. So now we just need to make that fraction a lot smaller. So we can halve that. So half of 288 is 144. Half of 1500 is 750. Now we can go smaller again into threes. So half of 100 into threes, sorry. So I'll put that here. 48 over 250. That's it worked out into 3 parts. And you can also work it out again into 2 parts, which is 24 over 125. So this is the total here, the fraction of what Hugh gave to Ellison. And that's it. So you'll get full marks here for the correct answers and showing all your workings out. Those extra OCW marks will be given because you've put pound signs in, you've shown your percentage and you've got your percentage there, you've written these sentences. I would advise that actually here you just say total of Hugh's 24% given to Ellison. Okay. This is your second example. This was taken from the November 2022 paper. So I'll just run through the question. I'll get my highlighter ready. Right, again, it tells you what you're being assessed on. And here are the marks down here. 5 marks for the correct answers in your question, using the correct workings out, gaining the correct answers, and then it's an extra 2 marks for the OCW. Organisation, communication and writing skills. Malik has 2 orchards. He has apple trees and pear trees in his north orchard. He has pear trees and cherry trees in his west orchard. So these are the numbers here. In the north orchard, Malik has a total of 35 trees. The number of apple trees to the number of pear trees is 4:3. In his west orchard, Malik has twice as many pear trees as he has pear trees in the north orchard, and the number of pear trees to cherry trees is 5:11. How many cherry trees does Malik have? So what we'll need to do first here, we know we'll have to work out what's happening in the north. Okay, so we know he's got 35 trees. We now need to figure out what's that in terms of the ratio. How many of those trees are apples? How many of those trees are pears? Once we have that answer correctly, when we then work out the west orchard is twice as many pear trees, we can then simply double our answer that we worked out here. So it's really important that we get that answer correctly. We can then work out how many of them were cherry trees. So step 1 is to find out, work out, the ratios of trees in the north. So we know it's 4:3, 7 parts. So we need to work out what 1 part is. So we know there's 35 trees. So it's 35 divided by 7 equals 5 trees. So if we write apple trees down here, and then we've got, pear trees. So we know there we are. That's what I'm looking for. 4 to 3. So it's 4 times 5, because that's the answer we just got from here. So 4 times 5 equals 20. Then here it's 3 times 5 equals 15. So we have 20 apple trees and 15 pear trees. And it's simple to see, 20 plus 15 equals 35. So now we know how many trees we've got in the north of each. Now we're going to do the same for the west. I'm going to put west here. So we've got pear trees. First of all, the question says, before we go into this ratio, is it's got twice as many pear trees in the west than in the north. So we know it is 15 pear trees, here. So we know that he has 30 pear trees in the west. So it's important here that we remember what the ratio is, and that's 5 pear trees of a ratio to 11 cherry trees in the west. Five parts of 30, because this is the total we have here. 5 parts of 30. So we'll work out what 1 part is. And that's 6 trees. So 5 parts is 30. That means 1 part will be 6. It's a simple working out where it goes on your times table. So that's 6 trees. So now we're going to work out the cherry trees. Which is, we know now, is 11 parts. So we simply do 11 times 6 equals 66 cherry trees. And we'll finish off by saying in the west. Now that's the end of that question. You've answered it there. They wanted to know how many cherry trees there were. And you've got your answer there, which is 66 cherry trees with that ratio. So these questions are really popular, especially with the ratios and finding them out, and maybe some percentage as well, like in the first example question that we did. So that'll give you full marks. You've done it in steps, and it's really clear. You've written all your answers down clearly as well. You've labelled everything and put down these sort of little finishing, I say sentences, but it's just labelling everything clearly. I hope you found that revision video helpful. I'll just draw your attention to the Carlam Cymru website there, where you can find further revision videos in every subject for GCSE of every level and A level. Also, if you look on Facebook, X, Instagram and YouTube, Carlam Cymru also have materials there. Also, if that's your preferred platform. Thank you very much. I hope you found that helpful, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.